That is the sound of air. Simon Air. Say what?
Hi.
Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of the BopDive. It's been a little bit, hasn't it? I've just had a lot of things going on in my life. However, episodes 2 and 3 will be coming very shortly. I know this is episode 2, but I'm speaking to you guys in the future. I mean, this will probably be up in a couple days. Maybe for like 3 to 4 days, if not sooner. So yeah, I just want to announce with the BopDive series that it's not all going to be Boppets necessarily. I've decided to make it all electronic game friendly. And today's episode is going to be a bite-sized episode because it's going to be very simple. It's a very simple one, but episode 3 will be a bit bigger, like in between the size of this one and my first episode on the Extreme 2. And you guys really seem to enjoy that episode. It got really popular, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. With that view count, it makes me want to make more of these episodes, because I was honestly considering to drop this series, just like I did with the Bopcast, just because it is a lot of work. But I will not be doing that for now, and hopefully not for a while. So let's get into the point of today's episode. This is the Simon Air, and I know this is an interesting Simon to start on, but we like interesting things here at BopTube TV. So, if you don't know the game Simon, I should probably explain it first. Typically, a Simon is a game with 4 buttons: a red button, a green button, a yellow button, and a blue button. And basically, Simon will give you a pattern. Say it starts on blue. So there's a blue light, you press blue. That does blue, green. You press blue, green. It keeps adding 1 to the sequence and getting longer and longer until your brain fries itself and you just mess up because you can't remember the pattern anymore. There's many different versions of Simon, there's many different game modes on Simons, and there's just so much Simon stuff. But this one is actually a pretty special one here called Simon Air. The Simon Air was released in 2016 alongside a Boppet called the Boppet 2016, or the Boppet Refresh, or the Boppet Deluxe, or the Boppet New Moves, whatever you prefer. But a lot of people just call it the Boppet 2016 at this point in time. The Boppet Refresh / 2016 also used some motion activity, and that is the point of this Simon. Instead of pressing buttons, you're hovering your hand over these 4 sensors. As you can see, about that far away from the sensor should pick up your hand's motion. So it is a no-touch Simon here. The Simon Air runs on 3 AA batteries that we're going to install right there at the bottom. There's a little screw to take off. I'm going to lay the game flat to show you kind of the what we got going on here. So there's a power button, which is also used for adjusting volume and checking your high scores. And then there's a switch that you can switch to 3 different positions. On the left is the Simon Air mode, in the middle is multiplayer, and the right is classic Simon. If we flip it over, we will also find a reset button right here on the back of the Simon that can be used to reset it if needed, or get into the special test mode, which we'll get into later. Simon Air simply just stands up like this. Stands pretty well. You're not going to knock it over that easily. And I also forgot to show you, if you look in between these, that's the speaker right there. Nothing really on this side to look at. So I guess the first thing we need to do is, well, install some batteries. And as you can see, I have this screwdriver in my hand. Different screwdriver than last time. A bit fancier, I suppose. So here's the screw right here. Excuse the bad filming angle for the moment. Let me try to open this battery compartment up. Alright. it's a bit tight sometimes. Might have not even opened it all the way necessarily. I feel it coming up though. Oh, just need to loosen it a smidge more. That's the thing about battery compartments, they can be fun to open. Alright, I think we should be good to open it now. Yep. So inside, here's the compartments. You just had 3 normal compartments where you can fit the 3 AA's, a spring on each side. No fancy ribbons or anything to deal with. Just make sure you line up the positive and negatives properly, where that flat side of the battery is facing the spring. Nice pop in. The middle one goes this way. And the final battery goes in this way. We got all of those popped in. Let's go ahead and put the battery cap back on. Line that up. I'll make a little cut to when I have it screwed in. Boom. Alright, we got that screwed in. Just gonna pick the game up now. Set it up like so. So when you play Simon Air, you want to make sure you never hover your hands over 2 sensors at the same time if it doesn't ask you to, because that will cause you to lose. That is one thing to note, is the sensors are very particular. I'm going to set the dial, the switch here to the right, which is classic Simon, and now I'm going to press the power button. Little startup animation, you'll see a flashing blue light. You can hover your hand over that to begin, but I'm going to show you some other things first. So I press the power button here. There's 4 different volume levels. There's loud, medium, quiet, and silent, where there's no sound. And like I said, I can flip the switch here to those 3 different positions. I'm going to start off all the way to the right, which is classic Simon. So to begin, hover your hand over that blue flashing light. As you can see, red lit up, so I'm going to take my hand right about there. It gives you the perfect motion. Red, blue. Red, blue, green. Red, blue, green, blue. Just simple, single-handed, regular old Simon, 1 light at a time. Just gonna go on until you mess up. Gets a little bit faster here and there. Kind of hard to cover the yellow sensor of my right hand. Kind of a tricky pattern we got. Ooh. That's a lose sound. That's a new high score sound. Your score will flash at the top with a green light. I believe that was a score of 8 because we saw it flash 8 different times. If all 4 lights lit up, it counts as a 10. So now if you press and hold the power button, no, it won't fall asleep first. We'll go over that in a minute. Hold the power button for about 3 seconds. That's our high score on that mode. Now, if you wait around 10 seconds, the Simon will fall asleep on its own to regenerate and recharge that battery. Because you don't want to waste the battery, obviously. It just shuts off on its own. There's no way to turn it off. You just have to wait for it to shut off on its own. Make sure nothing activates the motion when the blue light is flashing if you're done playing. Now I'm going to set the switch to the middle here. This is multiplayer mode. Now I'm going to demonstrate multiplayer mode later, but that's just to show you that that's where the switch is. And if I ever put my hand over blue, it does a different startup sound. So here's this one. That's classic. Here's multiplayer. And now here's the Simon Air mode itself. Also different. Starts off simple. Just single flashing lights. That little animation and sound means you've completed a level. More singles here. Okay, this is a bit tricky. So the red and blue lights both lit up, meaning I have to cover both using both of my hands. And then that was the yellow and green, so I'll demonstrate. covered both up there. Continuing on to the next level. I have blue and yellow. Using both hands, like I said. Now that was a bit different. So I didn't see what side it came from. That side, perfect. So it went from red to green, and you have to slide your hand upward across the two sensors. Ooh, sorry for the terrible filming. Almost made you guys probably die. So we're gonna watch that. So we saw that time it went down. Started at green and went to yellow, I believe. Nope, it went to red. I didn't see it. But you just slide your hand like this. So that was a score of 13, because if I press and hold the button, you saw that big "deh" sound. So now you can start another game. Now you might be like, but Kenny, we're starting back at level 1? Are you serious? Well, that is what happens if you wait too long. Let me explain. So I'm going to beat this level. Red and yellow at the same time. So now I'm going to lose on this level. It gives you a score. You notice the blue light rapidly flashing. Hover your hand over the sensor as it's flashing fast. And now notice you're on the level you lost on because you have a double. Now the camera just did a cool flip. I kind of cheated to do that. Not really using motion at this point. But if you wait too long, you notice the blue light slowed down, meaning now you're starting back at level 1 because you waited too long. Now notice hit the final mode. Shuts off right when you do it. Which is multiplayer, and you need 2 people to play this because, as I'm about to show you, you're not going to get far on your own. So a single and a double, you can do that. But now, all 4 lights, meaning you need 4 hands. I can try to cheat it with my head, but no. It's rare to get it in a single player state. It's just because you each use your hands, both of your hands, and use teamwork to play that mode. Like, I'm gonna try again. Nah, didn't get it. So as far as you're gonna get is 2 on there, unless you have 2 people to actually play with, which unfortunately I do not. So that is all the modes on the Simon Error. And as you progress through those levels, it is going to get tougher and tougher, though. For example, you know those little swoops I was showing you where it's like starts at green, goes to red, or red goes to green, or green goes to yellow, or yellow goes to green? Well, you'll get one where it goes from yellow to green to red, and you have to go all the way across the 3, or red to green to yellow. Then you'll get a motion where you have to take both of your hands, start one on red, start one on yellow, and slide them both up to green. So, like, I can't really show you with my other hand, but slide that one up, but at the same time. Or a motion where you have to take a hand, put it on yellow, put it on green, slide one hand over the red, and slide the other back onto green. Very tricky motions. My record on the Simon Error is 46 on that level mode there. And it's probably around 20 on Basic Simon. So now, time for some extras. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to show you guys is the test mode. Now, if you didn't see my last episode, I'll briefly explain again what a test mode is. A test mode is basically a mode on an electronic game that typically only the developers know how to get into, but the community finds them over time. A test mode usually revolves around holding down a button and then pressing it 3 times, but you have to take out a battery or hold a reset button while doing that. And like I said, the Simon Error does have a reset button where you can poke a pen or an earring or something into, but unfortunately I don't have items like that with me, so I'm going to have to do the battery method. So, For this test mode, the first step is to switch the position of the switch into original Simon mode, which is all the way to the right. Take out one of the batteries or hold down that reset button. Hold the power button, and now you're going to either insert the battery or let go of reset while holding the button. You'll see a blue and green light come up, and it'll flash a few times, but then it'll go out. What you need to do when you see that light is then press the power button 3 times. I'm going to set it up here. That little flash is the revision number. It's basically the number of what test mode this is. And now if I cover blue, it does a little sound. Now I'm going to press the power button. All lights will light up and we'll get a beep. Now press it again. And now these are all the sounds that are used in the Simon Air. As you notice, it divides the colors up into 3 parts. Because you can either hold those sensors for a while or just quickly go over them to get a little sound. And now the doubles. That's the quadruple. Now here's all the swipes. And that is the full test mode. In order to get out of it, you then need to take out a battery or press that reset button in. I will come back once I have the battery cap back on so I can talk about a few final things. So as we wrap up, I want to note that all Simons are typically made by Hasbro, yet the older ones were made by other affiliate companies such as the Parker Brothers and Milton Bradley. This one's made by Hasbro since it's more recent. And that is basically everything about the Simon Air. All its information, the test modes, how to play all the game modes, all the different types of swiping and just movement commands, and just everything kind of about the Simon Air. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the BopDive. And now, just like I did with my previous episode, I will treat you to showing you the advertisements for this game. And as far as I know, the Simon Air only has one ad that will play after this clip ends. However, if I find another, then I will also include it. Another thing to note is that there is no Scratch project or any other online way to play the Simon Air. You physically have to purchase one of these. But they're really common and go for really cheap. You can probably get one for about 15 bucks used on eBay, and maybe around like 25 to 30 new. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to sleep. Enjoy the ad.
Simon, the game of watching the colors, repeating the patterns, and mastering the levels, introduces Simon Air with all new touch-free technology. The ultimate touch-free challenge. New Simon Air. Hasbro Gaming. Play your game.
Simon Air with touch-free technology. Watch, remember, and repeat the pattern to master the colors. And challenge your friends in 2-player mode. Simon Air from Hasbro Gaming.
Cool, Simon Air.
You don't have to touch it. Oh, what?
Go, 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 go.
The Simon Air game, the touch-free challenge. Hasbro Gaming, play your game.
toy superstores.
If I were a toy.
Das ist Simon. Zuschauen, Farben merken und Muster wiederholen, um ihn zu bezwingen. Und jetzt kommt die neue Generation Simon Air. Mit innovativer Touch-Free-Technologie. Die ultimative Challenge. Simon Air von Hasbro Gaming. Spiel dein Spiel.
Simon, het spel van kleuren onthouden, series herhalen en steeds moeilijkere levels. Dit is Simon Air. Met compleet nieuwe touch-free technologie. De eerste Simon waarmee je speelt zonder het spel aan te raken. Voor 1 of 2 spelers. Nieuw. Simon Air. Hasbro Gaming. Play your game.